Europe's holiday giant TUI Group says bookings continue to rebound, sticking to its forecast of returning to profitability this year. Now, it says winter bookings stand at 78% of pre-pandemic levels. The company says it was hit by further costs of the summer flight chaos at airports, but the disruption has eased and its markets and airlines arm remain significantly profitable. Now, Paul Charles is the CEO of PC Agency, a travel consultancy and PR firm, and I asked him earlier what the positive figures mean for the wider travel sector.
These figures are really encouraging. They are the first true signs that that recovery that we've been hearing about over recent weeks is factual. It is happening. We're seeing some of the biggest operators like TUI confirm that they're seeing significant rebounds pretty well to the level pre-pandemic, and that's really encouraging, which is why shares of so many travel firms have risen off the back of this very encouraging news from TUI.
And we heard earlier today from Wizz Air expanding into Saudi Arabia. Would you say that that was another sign of the health of the overall sector?
We're certainly seeing the building blocks of recovery return with many airlines, not just Wizz, not just TUI as a wider operator, but also other network carriers, confirm that they are increasing and expanding their networks and dusting down the plans that they had pre-pandemic to continue their global expansion. Of course, it's not all plain sailing. We still have major issues in the sector, such as staff shortages, a lot of baggage going missing for consumers who are traveling, especially in Europe and America at the moment, as well as, of course, the economic hurdles that lie ahead, those clouds on the horizon of inflation and the cost of living crisis. So it's not all plain sailing, but the signs are certainly very encouraging that the industry is returning to some sort of normality post-pandemic.
So you touched there on the cost of living crisis. Obviously, there is the situation in Ukraine as well. How do you think the sector overall is faring with these challenges and also a somewhat uncertain outlook in terms of sort of energy prices?
These are the biggest challenges that senior management in companies in the travel and tourism sector have ever had to face, all at the same time, not just war in Ukraine, as you mentioned, but those economic clouds that are gathering. I think they're handling it really well, bearing in mind the staff shortages at senior level. Don't forget, a lot of senior management left during the pandemic or were sadly made redundant or put on furlough and haven't returned to the sector. So the sector is relying on a lot of new workers, inexperienced managers across the board, inexperienced teams. And so juggling these major challenges, which are evident, is really quite something. But I think in the main, companies are becoming more profitable with fewer people, and that's evident in the TUI numbers that you're seeing, as well as the expansion announced by Wizz Air. There's a growing confidence that those expansionary plans can come to fruition.
What is your outlook for the rest of the year?
Well, it's certainly going to continue to be a bumper year to the end of 2022, the end of this year. It's looking like a very strong Q4. And then we will have to see in January to April, the first quarter of next year, how bookings emerge. But I think the consumer is resilient. We're seeing consumers still spend the money they saved during the pandemic. They're putting it into holidays, perhaps fewer trips, but longer trips. And so what you're seeing are airlines be encouraged by those passengers who want to travel for longer, but travel in style in a premium cabin, like a business or a first class. We're also seeing destinations around the world who are promoting their higher end attractions and hotels and guest houses really at the top end to attract more spend per night. And that means you can get just as much money in with fewer people or fewer tourists actually traveling. And that's what a lot of travel firms are focusing on at the moment. Perhaps fewer people, but each person that does travel spending more.